Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Awesome progress on the B18 swap. Pretty much ready to start this thing up. I left you guys in the last video not having a cooling system in here and not having shift linkage or exhaust or anything hooked up. Well, I got the shift linkage hooked up off camera, and I went ahead and dropped this radiator and both of those fans in there to go ahead and get that taken care of, because I was waiting on the heat shield to come back for powder coating, and my buddy Joe Nathan over at Style Chasers Powder Coating took care of me. And I've got that installed. Everything looks awesome with that. The exhaust does not meet up with the catalytic converter properly. The flange that's on that cat was for the B16 manifold, and it's a smaller diameter. I think it's like 2 1/4, and this is actually 2 1/2. So I am going to have to cut that off and re-weld it. I don't have basically a high flow cat available here in the garage, so I'm not going to do that today. That's not going to prevent me from trying to start this thing up. I did get everything else bolted in here. I did get the intake arm situated. This is an Integra Type R intake arm, and it's made it up to the stock CRX airbox. I did have to cut off just a little bit on this arm here, not as much as I did have to on the B16 swap, because I did use the DA intake arm on that one. Here's the one I used for the B16 swap. This is how much I had to cut off for the Integra Type R swap. Just a couple inches here, maybe 1.5 inches. And that made it up pretty good. I mean, there's no air gap here because I got a clamp on it. It looks OEM, and that's kind of what I was going for. So that will hinder the airflow some, but I'm not too worried about it right now. In the future, if I want to increase my horsepower, I can always swap this out with a different intake system. As well as the header and the exhaust, because that stock CRX cat is really small. That's why I'm thinking about getting a high flow cat for that. Now, my friend Justin did send me a B18C chip. This is the B16 one that I took out of the ECU. The B18C is in there now, so this thing is ready to start up. It does have oil in it. Oil level is good. I do not have any transmission fluid in there yet. I need to fill that up, and I will do an oil change on here after I get this thing started. I really just wanted to get this thing started, see if it's going to run and idle, and see if I had any issues with anything with the swap. I don't have any coolant in the system yet, because I kind of wanted to start it up just to see if there's some things I need to take care of. I may have to pull that cooling system out. Hopefully not. I'm going to cross my fingers I don't have to. But I am ready to go on this thing, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the key and see if I can get this thing turned over and see if it's going to fire up. Alright, so it is the next day here, and there's a little bit to unpack from those last few clips because I did spend a lot of time troubleshooting and trying to figure out what the issue was. You probably heard that misfire that was going on. It really sounded like a knocking situation. It was exaggerated because the exhaust isn't hooked up, but it ended up being a misfire, and I did get a code 16 on the dash. That is a injector issue is what it was saying, like an injector failure or injector test failure. So that kind of pointed me to the direction of just checking the injectors. I did check all the clips and make sure they were seated on there. I ended up going through one by one, pulling each clip and seeing if it made a difference. And 1, 2, and 3 made a huge difference. The engine fell off really bad when I unplugged those. When I got to cylinder 4, I unplugged it. It made no difference whatsoever. So there was something going on with cylinder 4. I did check the spark plug wiring, pulled the spark plug wiring, and it was sparking really healthily. So I did pull the spark plug out, and it looked brand new because I did put brand new spark plugs in here. That spark plug was definitely not seeing any kind of internal combustion. It was just clean as could be. The rest of them, they showed carbon buildup just from the initial fire up. So there was something going on with that. I figured it wasn't the spark because I did see the spark happening whenever I pulled the wire. So I dug into the wiring on the injector. I did pull the fuel rail, looked at the injector, see if it was stuck. I put 12 volts to it. It was clicking. Everything looked good on the injector side. So I was testing the wiring. And my friend Justin kind of pointed me in the right direction of tracing out the wiring basically from the injector to the ECU and the injector to the old resistor box. The OBD2 injectors do not use a resistor box, so you have to delete it, and basically you just unplug it and then solder all the wires together. And I ended up buying a pre-made plug that somebody had made. They took all the wires from the plug, soldered them together, and then you just plug that in, and that's supposed to allow that to work properly. Well, that plug that I bought ended up having a pin swapped around, or there was one missing, so that number 4 injector ground that's supposed to be soldered together on that other end was just a floating ground. It wasn't tied to anything. They weren't tied together like they were supposed to be. So I ended up just swapping the pins around, getting that grounded properly, and then this thing fired up and started running smoothly again. So thanks to Justin for pointing me in the right direction. I'm glad that was an easy fix. So this thing's idling pretty smooth now. There is a little bit of an idle surge, so I'll probably jump into cleaning out the ICV first. It's probably got something going on with it. I didn't see any vacuum leaks. I did check around. I didn't see anything jumping out at me there that it could cause that. After it warms up a little bit, it does settle out and it runs smooth, so I think it might be something in that dirty. So I'm going to pull that off, clean that up, and hopefully that will resolve that issue. But other than those 2 small items, this thing will definitely be ready to hit the road soon. Now, I just want to take a minute here to introduce these OEM replica floor mats. Myself and Jeremiah Freeman have been working with a guy named Doc Zigzag on Facebook. He is known for making floor mats for the Del Sol community, that awesome zigzag design that you've seen. He's a graphic designer, and he designed these mats here to basically replicate the OEM CRX mats. I did order the as close as I could get to OEM replica, the charcoal color with the stripe here. You can get these any color you want or any design you want on here. He also makes a rear trunk mat, which I haven't seen very many of those for the CRX at all available on anywhere aftermarket. I think Honda Access made some a long time ago, very rare, hard to find. Even the OEM floor mats are hard to find in good shape, and everybody wants $300 plus for them. These are brand new. They're solid weight. I think he said they're like 9mm thick carpet. The backing is like a carpeted material here. They're very high quality. I want to show you the fitment of these. These are close to OEM fitment as you can get. The ones on eBay from Turkey are a little bit too long and narrow, and they kind of get in the way of your pedals. These fit snugly, and actually the cutout around the trunk release is better than the OEM ones, as the OEM ones cut a little bit too wide. So I'll show you the fitment of these. Definitely check him out in the link below, and I want to show you how they fit in the actual car. All right, one final thing worth mentioning is the fact that the hood does clear the top of this engine here using these spacers over here on this engine mount. It does drop the engine down just a little bit, so I got to be careful on the ground clearance here, but just preliminary looks, it looks like it's got plenty of clearance on the ground. I'm not super slammed here, so I should be okay. So just wanted to touch base on that because I did not mention it. I did get the hood on there and nothing's touching, so that's a good success on that part here. So I appreciate you guys watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Hopefully this thing will be on the road.